Welcome to Inside Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson. I will soon be joined by my co-host Eric Sugarfoot Duran and Aurelio Martinez. On today's show, we will have three segments. The first segment, we'll talk a little bit about last night's Showtime boxing card, where they had excellent bouts. Next, we will we'll discuss again some of the upcoming bouts, such as Manny Pacquiao and Brandon Rios, Lucas Matthysse and Danny Garcia. We will also get into the bout coming up with Juan Manuel Marquez, Timothy Bradley, and then we'll end up with I know you all are waiting for. We'll talk a little bit about Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Canelo Alvarez. We'll be right back, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to InsideBoxing's Throwdown. My co-hosts, Steven Johnson and Aurelio Martinez. In this segment, we'll discuss three upcoming bouts. Lucas Matthysse versus Danny Garcia, Timothy Bradley versus Juan Manuel Marquez, and Manny Pacquiao versus Brandon Rios. So let's get into the first one, fellas. You have, on September 14th, possibly two of the most exciting fighters in the game facing each other. In Danny Garcia, undefeated champion, versus the machine, Lucas Matthysse. What's your take on that fight, Steven?
Well, I really like Danny Garcia. Minus his dad, Angel. I just can't get into that dude, okay? But I think Danny Garcia, I like his heart. I like his punching power. As evidenced when he took care of Amir Khan, I think that he showed a lot. That really put him on the map. But I think in this fight against Lucas Matthysse, I think he's in way over his head. And I know a lot of people are not going to agree with way over his head when I say way over his head. And I think, in my own opinion, a lot of that had to do with that last fight we saw Matthysse win. And unfortunately for Danny Garcia, the camera panned over to him on the KO. You saw the look on his face. And I think the look on his face was like, damn, this boy can hit. Okay,
and that's coming from a guy who can hit himself.
Yes. And so I think that it's great matchup, great matchmaking to make this fight happen. I didn't think it was going to happen, but they pulled it together. But I just think that Lucas Matthysse is focused. He really wanted Danny Garcia, and he got Danny Garcia. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I like Matthysse in a late round KO. I do. I like him in a late round KO. I think that he will expose Danny Garcia more than he has, because contrary to what a lot of people, once again, we watched the fight several times with Amir Khan. Amir Khan was beating Danny Garcia.
Not only was Amir Khan beating him, Zab Judah in rounds 8 through 12 had a lot of success with him.
Yes.
And the thing about Garcia is, he beat Morales twice, and a lot of people are giving him credit for that. And Morales is a great fighter 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of Garcia is the Morales wins, the hype with his father, and he is a big puncher, plain and simple. Yeah. So really, who do you got in this fight?
Well, let me tell you what, Garcia gets the job done. Okay. First of all, I'd like to say I'm very surprised that this fight was put together for this card.
Yes.
Here you got a pay-per-view card that already is going to go off the charts.
Correct.
Okay, with Canelo and Mayweather, who we'll get into on another segment. But to me, is by putting this fight on the same card, are you only making more expenses for the promotion, or does it already bring more to what could be a record-breaking pay-per-view card? But whatever the case is, and whatever the reasons are, it was put on there. It's great for the fans, okay? Because this fight is great. Now I'm telling you guys, Danny Garcia has always proved to be a winner, okay? You say he fought an old Morales. That's true, and I think you can kind of say, hey, he took them fights because Morales wanted to stay into boxing. So someone had to tell him, hey, you're done, okay? You're done and get out, okay? But the fight with Amir Khan, okay, that was a fantastic win.
Great fight, great win.
Amir Khan is a good fighter now. Let's not take anything from him. We know, his fight with Madonna, his chin. He won't go back and fight.
He has his limitations, yes.
We know the Breeders press guy, but
Who?
your boy Brady, remember? But anyway, that was a great win for him, and that could have been the thing that threw him over the hump. Now, what's going to happen in this fight, in my opinion, is Angel, the father, is going to be taken out of this picture because Lucas Matthysse is not going to be like a Floyd or someone that's going to get into that argument. You know, Floyd Senior, Floyd Junior, Roger. You don't know shit about boxing, things like that. I think that's going to take Angel out. He's going to try to talk, but it's going to fall on mute ears. Okay, so it's going to be up to the fighters. But still, I'm telling you guys, Danny Garcia again in this fight will rise to the occasion. He will rise to the occasion, and we're going to see an upset.
Well, that's great.
See an upset.
Before I get into my prediction for the fight, like I stated before in previous conversations, the winner of this fight is actually Floyd Mayweather. He says he's going to fight 2 times a year. We all already know he fights on Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day. So the winner of this fight, there's Floyd's next opponent. No one has, especially if it's Matthysse, then you have this, right now Matthysse is on a high. Everyone in the boxing game respects him.
Sure it is.
You know what I mean?
And he's a good guy. I mean,
he's a great fighter.
He's great. Personality-wise, everything. I mean, there's no flaws in this man. He can box. He can hit. He puts his demeanor out there. He's fan friendly.
Exactly.
I mean, how can you hate a guy like this? You can't.
You're right. And so if Garcia beats him, remains undefeated, he catapults to the next level too. So Mayweather wins. His opponent sent for Cinco de Mayo weekend at the MGM in Las Vegas. But let's get to the fight. You think Garcia rises to the occasion. You think Matthysse scores a late round stoppage. I think Matthysse gets him out there early. I'm talking before 6 rounds. I think Garcia is going to come in there, winging those white shots. And Matthysse is going to step in with one of those overhand rights, and it's going to be good night, Garcia. Angel, come pick up your son off the canvas and let's go home.
And you may be right. I mean, obviously, if Matthysse lands a solid shot, it's over. I mean, no one's gonna argue that. Okay. On the same token, Garcia lands some power punches. It's going to take that little bull away from Matthysse. That's what I'm saying. It depends on if Danny is going to be able to land some significant punches and get that respect in the ring. If he doesn't, then I agree. It's good night. He's going to get knocked out.
Let me have this. Your first comment you mentioned, rightfully so. You questioned whether this fight was necessary to further bolster this fight card. I don't think it was necessary, but I think it's, once again, that thumbprint from Richard Schaefer saying, look what we can do.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, man. They're taking control. I think you're right. They're taking control of boxing, and I'm going to tell you, well, Don King is pretty much out.
He's done.
He's done. He's aging up there, and boxing's not a priority for him.
Yeah, you have the two main promoters now, Top Rank and Golden Boy.
And let's not forget, Bob Arum is not a young puppy anymore. Okay, so he's just business minded. Bob Arum is an attorney. He's business minded. He knows what to do, and as long as he's doing what he's doing,
yes,
and as long as he's able to do what he's doing, he's gonna be.
But like we said, like De La Hoya put Schaefer in a position. Mayweather's putting guys in his position. Bob Arum put Todd DeBow in a position. That's why the company is running well, and it should, continue when Bob steps away from the game. But to get back to this fight, the fans win. Because there's so many questions going to this fight on who can win.
Yes.
We win. That's who wins the most, is you have 2 high-profile fights back-to-back. So let's get into the next fight. You have Juan Marquez, who's coming off a stellar 6-round KO of Manny Pacquiao against the undefeated, highly questionable, though, Tim Bradley. Steven, what's your take on that fight?
Well, let me start off by saying this, okay? Contrary to popular opinion, here's another fight we had where Juan Manuel Marquez was being thoroughly beat by Manny Pacquiao. before he came through with the big punch that ended it.
Hard, baby.
You call it hard if you want to.
No quit.
I call it. I'm gonna call it what it was. Manny Pacquiao knew that he had to win this fight convincingly, and he let himself get a little too excited. That's my own opinion. He got a little too excited. Not taking anything from Juan Marquez because, as you said, big heart. Here's another guy, world champion, doesn't back down from anybody. As far as I'm concerned, validated by taking that fight with Floyd Mayweather when Floyd Mayweather couldn't make weight, and he took the fight anyway. Okay, he's not backing down from anybody. You call him out, he's going to answer the bell.
Yeah, he was so small in comparison.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think in this fight, okay, I think Timothy Bradley is on a mission. I really do. Wait a minute. I think he's on a mission. I think Timothy Bradley, we all know that the one thing about him is he's felt disrespected for quite a while now. Whether he has or not, that's for you guys and for you guys to decide. I just think that Timothy Bradley is going to be more focused than ever. We all know that this fight might not even happen because Timothy Bradley has demanded that Juan Manuel Marquez either take the USADA or the VEDA testing, and it looks like Marquez is kind of balking at that. You know, behind the scene rumors, even between us, has long been that something might not be right with Marquez. You don't want to do that with a guy who's pretty much been a stand-up guy, but you know, in this day and age now, with the PEDs being a major issue, and the way at his age that he's come back stronger, more buffed, cut up than ever, there's a thought there in her mind. I'm going to take Tim Bradley in this fight.
You know what, Eric?
Wait a minute, I'm here too.
You just mentioned that Tim Bradley feels disrespected. I don't think he's disrespected. He's just not a friendly fighter. No one wants to see him. No one cares for his style. It's not something that someone's going to miss dinner over.
But then we used to say that about Rigondeaux. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is Bradley's up there now. He's been fighting for a while, you know.
And he's champion.
And his last few fights have been questionable. I mean, so why will someone get excited over any fight, whether he's fighting Marquez or whether he's fighting anyone? I mean, it's just the fans don't care. They don't care. They're not going to pay to see that kind of stuff. So that's an HBO fight.
There we go. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
So I mean,
and that's true. That's true.
So I mean,
that's true.
So I mean, he can come up. To me, take this, take that test, take this. You know what that means? That just tells me he's scared.
Oh, no.
Okay, that just tells me, okay, that's a way out.
No.
Okay, so if this fight doesn't happen, I don't care. I really don't care if it doesn't happen. It's not something I'm anxious to watch. I mean, you know, I don't care.
Great points.
You know.
Me and Steven talked off camera about this, and although Timothy Bradley is the undefeated champion, Juan Manuel Marquez is the name. Bradley's stuck between he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. He needs to take this fight because he's with Bob Arum and Top Rank, and other than Pacquiao and Rios, Golden Boy has all the 147-pound fighters.
Well, no, you still got Alvarado. Don't forget.
Is he going to jump up to 147?
Right, not going to move up.
That's the thing.
He's not going to move up.
So if that happens, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Bradley has to fight Marquez. Steroid test or no steroid test. Yeah. He needs to fight him. Unfortunately, it's a bad fight for him. Bradley has always been, he's your volume fighter. He gets through on heart, determination, and skills. But his chin is highly shaky. Kendall Holt put him down. Kendall Holt's a big puncher. Ruslan Provolov put him down. Big puncher too. They're not Juan Manuel Marquez punchers though. They're not go to sleep punchers. They're hurt you, put you out, the fight's over. Marquez is hurt you, bring the stretcher in type puncher. And I think Bradley throws wild punches. He throws a lot of punches that are unnecessary in combinations. And I think he gets caught with a big right hand. And there goes his bout. There goes his undefeated record. And then we can discuss whether or not Marquez is...
And he knows it.
I think you're basing a lot of that on Provodnikov's last fight with Bradley, where Bradley felt like he had to prove something to the fans. Okay, I think he got caught up in all of that. We know that's not usually Timothy Bradley. You know, I was actually shocked that it went that way, and he was hurt bad.
Oh, he was.
He was hurt bad, and he weathered the storm.
Yeah.
So
But that's why I think the difference is if Marquez hurts him,
Well,
Marquez finishes the job.
If he hurts him like that, oh yeah.
Well, and I think Bradley knows that. But I think Bradley knows that, so he's taking a page from Floyd Mayweather. You know, when Floyd Mayweather didn't want to fight Pacquiao.
So now you're saying Mayweather was scared.
I'm not saying he's scared. It wasn't a fight of his choice.
That's what you just said.
You just said he fights not the fight, right?
It was a fight not of his choice, and it was call it what you want. In Floyd's case, it was a smart move because Floyd has millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to make. Timothy Bradley don't have that.
Well, that's a valid point.
Okay, Bradley don't have that, so Bradley better just go on there and suck it up and go. Okay, he's not Floyd. Okay, yeah. Floyd is where he calls the shots. Okay, he calls these shots. Okay, so let's not even put him in the same thing. You can use the same excuse, but it doesn't work the same.
Exactly.
Okay, so
great conversation. So in our third bout, we have Manny Pacquiao, the return of the great Manny Pacquiao against Brandon Rios. Aurelio, you start us off on this one.
You know what? I'm just going to start out by saying it's probably a bad fight for Manny Pacquiao. It's just a bad fight for Manny Pacquiao. And the reason I'm saying that is because Pacquiao really doesn't have anything to gain by winning this fight. And if he loses, he's done. Okay, he's done. He can go back and do politics in the Philippines. There's really nothing to gain by here. Rios just lost to Mike Alvarado. Okay, so I mean, I really don't know why he decided to take this fight. I don't, unless he just feels comfortable that he can beat Rios but I don't. I really don't understand the fight. I mean, there was a lot of other fights there that Pacquiao could have kept going to make his millions of dollars because, like Floyd, Pacquiao still is a venue maker. He's in a position where he can make millions of dollars.
I mean,
okay,
go ahead, Steve.
I will disagree where you said he doesn't have anything to win. I think now that he beats Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios is a guy that we all pretty much know. You know what you get with him. He's not. Mm-hmm. He's not a great boxer, but as you convinced me years ago. You can't stand in the pocket with this guy. You can't stand in the pocket with him. If you stand in the pocket with him, and when we had on our show a while back, we had Denver's Manny Perez, and Manny actually said in the pocket, it's unbelievable with him. You know, so taking all that into consideration, like I said, I think first of all, and most important to me, is that Brandon Rios is at a weight that he's very comfortable at.
Well, he better be. I mean, he's been struggling to make weight for 4 years, from 130 to 147.
Well, I'm saying he's very comfortable now. He's bigger than Manny Pacquiao. Okay. The loss that he had against Mike Alvarado in the second one, controversial.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon Rios strongly thought he won.
Sure he did.
And like you always say, he's supposed to think he won. But I thought that fight could have gone either way. It went, in the favor of Alvarado. We all thought that it was going to be Alvarado Rios 3. That didn't happen because I think, once again, Bob Arum is comfortable knowing that he's in a win-win situation.
Options, yes.
But I think that in the case with Brandon Rios, I think he's bigger. I think he's stronger. I agree with you. I think it's a bad fight for Pacquiao because if he loses, it's definitely over for him. But more important than that, I think that Brandon Rios is just the stronger fighter.
You know what? I'm glad you guys are both taking Rios. Did you guys not watch Manny Pacquiao versus Antonio Margarito?
Sure.
Where Margarito stood in the pocket, who's a much bigger fighter than Brandon Rios, and took a beating? I think this is a tailor-made fight.
Everyone's beat up the Margarito.
I know.
Ever since he took the concrete, once he took the concrete out of his gloves, people realize he can't hit.
Well, okay, I think
we'll talk about that on another show.
He has, just so you can finish, bad example. Because Margarito hasn't been able to put anybody out since he's been accused of putting concrete in his gloves.
Okay, but I think this. So I'll give you Shane Mosley. He stood in the pocket too. He got demolished. Miguel Cotto tried to stay in the pocket. He got demolished. This is a perfect fight for Manny Pacquiao. Brandon Rios is going to stay in front of him. He's going to eat so many left hands. Brandon Rios gets stopped in this fight. He gets cut up, he gets stopped, or he takes a tremendous beating. And Manny Pacquiao is, again, that elite fighter that everyone loves. And like you said, why fight Brandon Rios? He had no choice. Golden Boy has all the guys at 147. Who's Pacquiao going to fight besides Marquez, Bradley, Rios, or if Alvarado steps up? He only had four options.
They talked about Bradley for a while.
Sure did.
They didn't have. Let me tell you something, just for the record. Brandon Rios is going to retire Pacquiao in this fight. It's going to be done. Pacquiao is now going to, if he keeps fighting after he loses to Brandon Rios. If he keeps fighting, then he just smeared his whole boxing legacy or whatever you call it. Okay? After this loss, he got to step up to the podium, say, "Hey, I stood in boxing a little too long. My focus is in politics. I thank everyone," and he needs to step out. If he tries to stay in, then forget about it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so but like you say, he should have fought a Bradley because I think he'd beat Bradley, and I think he'd beat Bradley very easy. Okay, so why not take that a fight? At that time when they were talking about that fight, it was a good fight.
It was a great fight. Yes.
Okay, it was a good fight, but it went this way. You know, Bob Arum knows what he's doing. I guess that's what.
So you're gonna stick with Pacquiao?
Oh, I'm sticking with Pacquiao, and I'm thinking that I don't even think it's a close fight. I think Pacquiao comes out from round one, hits him, and just from that point on, just takes over the fight and gradually breaks him down. If he don't stop him, we might have to talk about Brandon Rios retiring because he took a beating. If he comes back the same fighter.
Well, I don't think that happened.
I'm gonna tell you what, but that's good. Okay, let's.
Well, that wraps up this segment.
Segment number 2.
We'll be back in a couple minutes for segment number 3. Of course, it's Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez. See you in a minute.
And I'm gonna tell you, hot topic. Be sure you watch the next segment. We're gonna rehash the upcoming Canelo Alvarez, Saul Alvarez, and Money.
Floyd Mayweather Jr.
We'll be right back.